Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, you guys. I thought we can have some fun and have, a gentleman's debate. Well, not really a debate, a conversation. Everybody allowed to voice their opinion. Just be respectful. That's all I ask, man. Just be respectful. Don't come on here trying to diss me because if you do, that's going to be your first and only comment and your ass is out of here. You're going to be blocked. You don't have to agree with I say, but don't disrespect me. I don't play that shit. It's zero tolerance on my channel for that. You can disagree with me, but don't disrespect me. Real talk. But we gonna have a gentleman's conversation, you know, player to player, brother to brother, and we gonna talk about Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, upcoming scenarios with their upcoming fights slash opponents, what it means for Errol Spence, what it means for Bud Crawford. You know, where I've made this very clear. I have Terrence Bud Crawford as the number one fighter on the planet. And I have Errol Spence at number two. I've had Errol Spence at number two for a while. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about how Errol Spence can become number one, if not, at least in my eyes, most people's eyes. Because at the end of the day, let's just keep it 100. For real, let's just keep it 100. Errol Spence should be in everybody's top five at least, you know, and so should Terrence Crawford. But we all know the politics. We know the racism that come along with boxing. It's been that way forever. We just saw it last week when one of the biggest hype jobs in the last 15 years, got beat thoroughly by, a young gun, and Teofimo Lopez. So we already know what's up. Now, as you guys know, Terrence Crawford has a showdown coming up with Brook on November the 14th. That's like 3 weeks away. And then 3 weeks after that, you will have Errol Spence that will have a showdown versus Danny Garcia in Errol Spence's hometown of Dallas, which will have a live audience, which I think, well, I'll talk about that later. I'll talk about that later, which is good for boxing. Now, I don't like this fight being on pay-per-view, but, it is what it is. Now, let's break down these fights. At the end of the day, Errol Spence, this will be his first fight in a year and some change, coming off a car accident, and then, as you guys know, the pandemic. So that delayed a lot of fights. Pretty much delayed every damn fight. so so a lot of people are going to be watching to see how Errol Spence looks and performs in this fight. Now, Errol Spence was recently cleared to start back to sparring. From what we're hearing, everything is going fine. Danny Garcia is in deep training, and from what I've heard, Danny Garcia is taking this fight very seriously. Some people actually believe Danny Garcia has a puncher's chance in this fight. Well, I don't know about that, but anything could happen. It is boxing. Now, on the other side, Bud has the Brook fight. A fight that a lot of people who have tried to dismiss Bud at welterweight, which is bullshit. A lot of these dudes is haters, and they have, a personal issue with Bud because how Bud has treated their favorite media member or black YouTuber, or treated certain, people in the media, due to Bud's lack of trying to make himself accessible to the media or a certain kind of media. So Bud has fell out of favor, and particularly with a lot of people that look like him. Now, I've stated this before. Do I have an issue with how Bud treats black media. Yeah, I do. I wish he would loosen up. I wish he would stop thinking everybody is out to get him. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to hold that against him. But a lot of people use that as an excuse to discredit Bud when that's not true. Because at the end of the day, Bud has tried to make fights with people on the opposite side of the street. And due to, just personal issues with managers and promoters, certain fights just couldn't get made, you know. But at the end of the day, the Kell Brook fight got made, a fight that a lot of people was saying that Bud needed, which he didn't really need. But okay, now that we're playing the game, some people like trying to push the goalpost back, who begged Bud to take this fight, and now they're trying to discredit him for taking this fight. And I told you I'm not accepting any excuses. Real talk, not on my channel. You want to try to discredit Bud, go take that shit to whose channel, because there's quite a few of them type of channels, So, now, I have to say this, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. If Errol Spence stops Danny Garcia, if he goes into that fight and stops Danny Garcia, knocks him out, becomes the first person to defeat Danny Garcia via stoppage. And this is after Bud's performance versus Kell Brook. Now, if Errol Spence does that, if he stops Danny Garcia, if he dominates him from beginning to end, I have no choice, and most people have no choice but to declare Errol Spence officially the best fighter on the planet. Because that will be amazing if he goes in there after suffering from a tragic car accident that could have took his life and not fighting for over a year, and he goes in there and demolishes Danny Garcia, then you have to give him all the kudos in the world. You have to give him all the... Yes, Danny Garcia has been beaten before, but he's never been stopped. But if Errol Spence stops Danny Garcia, I have to at least have him tied with Bud for number one pound for pound. Now, let's get to Bud. I think Bud needs to stop Kell Brook. I think he needs to stop him. Okay? If he can stop Kell Brook within, let's just say, the time frame shorter than what Errol Spence stopped him, then I feel like he should keep his spot at number one. If he goes the distance with Kell Brook, but he wins decisively, I probably would drop Terrence Crawford to number two and elevate Errol Spence to number one. Now, if he goes in there and obliterates Kell Brook within, three or four rounds, yeah, he stays at number one. And on the flip side, if Errol Spence goes the distance with Danny Garcia, then I still would have him number two. But if he stops Danny Garcia and Terrence Crawford goes the distance with Kell Brook, then, like I said, I have to elevate Errol Spence to number one. But yeah, I'm just keeping it real. I'm a fair guy. I'm fair. I'm very fair. I have no choice but to anoint Errol Spence officially the number one pound per pound fighter on the planet if he stops Danny Garcia. But like I said, if Bud, I'll put it this way. If Bud stops Kell Brook probably the same amount of time that, let's just say, if they both get stoppages, then that'll be interesting. Maybe I'll have them tied. I'll have him tied. But if Bud doesn't, stop Kell Brook and he goes the distance, yeah, I'm elevating Errol Spence to number one, and I'm just keeping it 100. Town Biz is fair. I'm very fair. So that's my assessment. That's my opinion. I'm out.